Wow, what a venue, and this is amazing here. And of course, nowadays, we are so surrounded by technology. I'm surrounded, I've got my phone in my pocket, I've got my Meta glasses, I'm recording you.
Get out of here.
And I have my Limitless pendant here, which is basically taking notes of every conversation I have. So
Get out.
keep it clean when you're around me. I loved what JM was talking about earlier. Is, the reality is that we're in the service business, and thinking about luxury. I've had an opportunity, just because of the success that I've enjoyed, to be able to spend time with people who can buy, expensive properties, luxury properties. And the one thing that they all have in common is that they all want to add value, and they respect people who add value. And in the US, one of my favorite authors, when I was really in my late teens, early 20s, I was getting into sales, was a gentleman named Zig Ziglar. Who's heard of Zig Ziglar? Okay, fair number of people in the room. So the phrase that I really took to heart was, you can have anything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want. And that's the business we're in. We're in the business of helping people get what they want. We're not in the sales business. And when you get into, we'll say, the luxury side of the business, you probably figured out that you're not in the sales business. You're in the marketing business, and you're in the service business. And those are probably the two businesses that you're in. And then you also have to continually be working on sort of sharpening the saw, sharpening your profession. And that's where technology comes into play. Technology, there isn't anything that we do in this business that isn't basically fundamentally shaped by technology. Whether you're advertising a property, whether you're running an open house, whatever you're doing, everything is technology oriented. But technology can be both a leverage tool, something that gives you leverage in your business. I was talking a little bit with Wendy Forsyth, our Chief Marketing Officer, earlier, and one of the things that we rolled out at EXPCon last year was Canva Pro for everybody at EXP. And we were the first company in real estate that I'm aware of that had put together any sort of corporate national deal for all their agents with Canva Pro. How many of you use Canva? Okay. And so it's fairly ubiquitous, and it's not super expensive, but it is an expense. It's part of your business. It's something that you need to be using. But if you start to look at things like Canva Pro, there's a lot of cool stuff coming through that platform right now. Nowadays there's a platform that we're really excited about that we use all the time in EXP called Lovable. Anybody heard of Lovable?
No.
Okay, a few folks. Okay, so in the marketing side of the business, and especially when you think about luxury properties, you're trying to figure out ways to stand out, to get the unfair attention to your property, to get the traffic of the right type of people through your property. And so one of the things that we've been doing quite a bit is, if you get a chance, go and check out Lovable. If you haven't used it, just go there and ask it to build you a luxury website for your listing.
Wow.
So give it the address, tell it a little bit, just a tiny bit about the neighborhood, and then add some photos to it, and ask it to build you a website. What you'll find is that the technology that's available to you today for what would amount to €5 in prompts, you will be able to build a $10,000 website. That's what it would have cost you a year ago to actually have a web developer build to ultimately promote the property that you just took a listing on. And you can go into these tools and you can really totally differentiate. Once you play with it, by the way, you'll probably be addicted for about a week or two because your mind will just literally be blown by the things that you can do. Some of those same functionalities are now available in our Canva Pro subscription, which is pretty cool as well because you can start to actually build out some really cool templates. And then they just added, I think it was Google, the new View 3 model for video is actually incorporated in there. So you can actually take one of your properties, you can actually put it into Canva Pro, and you can actually have a virtual drone fly over your property.
Yeah.
Now, it won't be totally accurate, but it'll look really cool. One of the other things that I've been playing with recently, and anybody played with Suno? S-U-N-O? Couple people.
I need
If you get a chance, go to Suno and check it out as well, because you could build a song for the listing before you ever go take it.
Oh my gosh.
You could, and by the way, these songs are actually really good. Like they're, like you can go in there and say, I want to promote me to be the listing agent for this property, and at some level, we want to get the attention to show that we are ahead of the game. But then, you know, the next thing is all the things that we can do with AI and all the technology. Today, if you go to my LinkedIn or my Facebook page, you'll see that I put up an article about Leo and I walking around the resort that we're at over in Sintra. And so we talked about some things. My Limitless Pendant picked up the conversation. I took that conversation, I put it into Claude, the AI model, and said, write me a LinkedIn article based on the conversation that we just had.
I love it.
And with basically 2 minutes worth of work, I was able to build a really engaging post that where I still had to capture the content, that was the conversation, but it actually built me something really powerful. And so if you think about the idea that, you know, you're going through your listings with your prospective sellers and you're walking through the home and they're talking about the things that they've done in their house, the experiences, the memories, the gatherings, the things that have taken place, and you can take that content back, and using, you know, AI and other technologies, you can do some really, really creative things today. So you know, JM asked me to talk a little bit about technology. I'm a bit of a geek, you can tell. I refer to myself as I used to refer to myself as the oldest millennial you'll ever, or the youngest millennial you'll ever meet, or the oldest millennial you'll ever meet. I'm now almost like the oldest Gen Alpha, is that the new term? Yeah, so I don't have their vocabulary down yet, but you know, the fact is I'm playing with the technologies, I'm learning these things, but I think this is where, you know, if you want to really go where things are going, you know, make sure that you're embracing these tools, these technologies, you're trying them out, you're spending, you know, 10, 15, 20% of your time trying to figure out where's the leverage in this business, so that you can get your unfair share of the market. Of course, EXP as a company, you know, we've built this really amazing company over the last 15 and a half years, and we went from, you know, I went from living in a small condo to now a very large home. Debbie and I lived in a very small RV for 10 months, so a recreational vehicle, a motorhome, and it's interesting, the comment about, you know, that luxury is a mindset. And at the end of the day, you know, if your mindset's right, you will do extremely well in this business. If your mindset's wrong, you can try as hard as you want and you won't do well in this business. So if you get your mindset right, you know, luxury is one of the avenues where you can earn a great income in this business called real estate. You know, I'm super proud of the fact that we've built the largest single real estate brokerage around the world by focusing on helping agents both sell more real estate, but also build a safety net beyond just their selling of real estate. And And what we're going to go back after we're going to go to Barcelona this next week for EXPCon International. And when we go back, we're going to go back and do the exact same thing that I'm recommending to everyone here, which is we're going to go back and see where we can be of service, and we're going to leverage technology. So thanks, thank you, JM, for having me up, and thank you for this amazing event, and super excited about the rest of the evening. So.